Hey, welcome to the Explore and More Show. My name is Ken Conan. This is Mr. Ted Blank with Ted Blank Luxury Travel and Adventures. How are you, sir?
Doing well, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining me during our 3, 4, maybe 5-part series. We'll see what this turns into.
It's going to end up being a little longer than we originally thought. But we're on to part 3 of Is River Cruising Right for Me?
Yeah.
And we're going to take a deep dive into the second of the top 2 river cruise destinations, the Danube River.
Awesome.
Today.
Awesome. This is going to be extra fun for me because this is a river cruise that I am going to be going on to in March.
That's right. You have it on your plans for the
It's on the calendar,
we'll
my
try
friend.
to give you a little preview. Yeah.
I can't wait. Well, tell me where do we start our finish? And I know we probably go either direction here. Where would you like to take
one of the
us?
neat things about a river cruise is you can go in either direction. And as a general rule, you're going to see the same things regardless of which direction you go in.
Okay.
So we'll start in a little place called Passau, Germany, which
Okay.
is not very far from Munich and not very far from Prague in the Czech Republic. And we're going to head east to Vienna in Austria and then finally to Budapest in Hungary where the cruise will end.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And where do you fly into if you're going to hook up a west to east?
Yeah, so you'd actually have a choice.
Okay.
You could fly into Munich or Prague.
Okay.
And most of the cruise lines will offer a pre-cruise extension in Prague, where you'll have, or Munich, where you'll have a chance to have a stay in the hotel, transfers between the airport and the hotel and the ship, and some sightseeing as well.
Fun.
And then you'll head up to the cruise. And the cruise will generally be a 7-day cruise from, as I said, Passau to Budapest.
That's awesome. I like the pre-cruise
Extension package,
I like
cruise
that
tour, yeah.
because I'm pretty good with the jet lag piece, but I feel like it gives me a little bit of space to get through that piece if I need to. And then I'm on to like the heart of the what we're there for, like the river cruise, right? Does that make sense?
Yep. That's an excellent point. And it is an opportunity to kind of get adjusted to the new time zone.
Right.
And just to start off on a little bit of an easy pace before you get on the cruise.
That's exactly it.
Then on the cruise, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this and I want to do this. And there's so
Right.
much to do that, your days will be full if you want them to be full.
That's right. That's right. On the front side of the cruise, anything that you'd call out as far as kind of must do in those cities?
Choosing between the two is something that, we can certainly arrange a custom program for you that would include both, but most of the time you'd have to choose one or the other. And they're both such interesting places. It's actually a really, really hard choice. Prague has a beautiful old town. The castle is quite interesting. Different feel to it because it's in Eastern Europe. Munich has a lot going for it. There's a lot to see in Munich. And certainly, 2 nights in Munich really almost scratches the surface. So it might be a place that's worth going back to on a separate vacation because there's enough to do just right in the Munich area.
I love that. That sounds great. Awesome.
So then you'll head to the ship and you'll embark on the ship. And normally the ship spends that first night moored in Passau in Germany.
Okay.
And many of the cruise lines will actually host an Oktoberfest.
Oh my.
Welcome aboard celebration, even if it's not in October. And so they'll have the polka bands playing away, and they'll have bratwurst and beer and sauerkraut and mustard and all those German dishes, and just a chance to, kind of experience that part of German culture before you head off. And you'll actually be leaving Germany then and moving now into Austria and Hungary. But you get a nice flavor for Germany on that first day of the cruise.
That's fun.
Passau is actually an interesting little town. And if you're really adventurous, there is an incredible hike to the top of one of the bluffs that overlooks the river.
Wow.
Now, it's really high and it's a lot of steps, but when you get there, it's well worth the view. So if you're active and like to do something active, that's a neat thing you can do in Passau.
That's Passau. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So then you'll head into Austria and you'll cross the border. I mean, Passau is actually literally right on the border. So you'll be in Austria. And the first stop for most cruise lines is the city of Linz.
Okay.
And Linz is a small Austrian town right on the river. It's an interesting place in and of itself, but most people in Linz will take the included full-day excursion to Salzburg.
Oh, okay.
And Salzburg is about 2 hours away from Linz by motor coach. It is, of course, where Mozart was born, and it is also famous for being the setting for the Sound of Music movie.
Right,
and so you'll have a chance to see all those sites that you would have seen in the Sound of Music, you know, the glass conservatory and the Von Trapp family house and the castle and the church where the wedding took place. And so you can see all those sites in Salzburg. But it's also a really beautiful, charming old town. Mozart's birthplace is there. It has some beautiful gardens. And so you have a nice full-day excursion to Salzburg before you go back to the ship and head now back. I don't know if it's up or down the Danube River. I guess you're going to head up the river to the next destination.
Okay, awesome. And that journey to Salzburg, is that via motor coach or is
It'll
that
be via motor coach?
Okay, so just a little motor coach.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour motor coach ride to Salzburg. Beautiful scenic ride.
That's fun.
And then Salzburg, beautiful, beautiful city.
Love it. Yeah, I found when we were traveling the Rhine, had any motor coach travel that we did, it was great. It was very scenic the whole time. There was always somebody kind of narrating as you went through the countryside, so it never seemed like it was great.
Yeah. So then the next day is actually, I think, for me at least, one of the highlights of the Danube River.
Okay.
And that's the day you spend in a place called the Wachau Valley. And Wachau is spelled Wachau.
Okay.
And it's kind of the garden spot of Austria. And so they grow a lot of apricots in the Wachau Valley. And they make apricot candy and apricot cakes. They also make apricot wine and apricot brandy.
Oh, boy.
And the apricot brandy is a little strong, but you can taste some, you can actually go visit some apricot wineries and taste the local apricot brandy, which I would definitely recommend doing. Richard the Lionhearted, who was the king of England, who went on the Crusades, was actually captured by the bad guys. And so he was imprisoned in a castle that you'll see in the Wachau Valley.
Wow.
But the real highlight is a place called Melk, M-E-L-K.
Okay.
And Melk is a little town that has a beautiful Baroque abbey up on the top of a bluff overlooking the water.
Okay.
And so you actually come into the abbey from the back and you tour through it, and it's beautiful, beautifully preserved, Baroque, absolutely stunning, and you're like, oh my gosh, this was the coolest thing ever. And then you walk out the front door and you have just an incredible panorama over the Danube River.
So
it's kind of a twofer, kind of a little bit of a twofer in this excursion.
Yeah.
And then you can do it by motor coach, but you can also actually walk down to the ship, and the ship just docks right at the foot of the bluff where the abbey is located. So Wachau Valley, you went to a big kind of a marquee destination in Salzburg, and now you're in kind of a little bit of a country part of your very charming, beautiful area. Then the next day you're going to end up in Vienna, capital of Austria, and certainly one of the most interesting cities in Europe. Many cruises will spend the night in Vienna, so you'll actually have 36 to 48 hours to explore Vienna. Oh my gosh, just so much to do. The palaces like the Hofburg Palace in downtown Vienna.
Vienna. What is Vienna really, really known for? Is it the concerts?
Vienna is famous for its concerts. Yeah. It's famous also for the different royal palaces that you can visit and tour both in the city and out in the countryside. But Vienna has a lot of music.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Music.
So you can always pick up a quick Mozart concert.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to. Vienna's actually famous for its coffee as well. And unlike in Amsterdam, in Vienna, a coffee shop is actually a place you go to have coffee. And their famous desserts, which are called Sacher torts. They're kind of a flourless chocolate cake that's named after one of the luxury hotels in Vienna. That's really, really good. So Vienna's an interesting city. Yeah. You'll spend enough time there that you'll have a chance to, explore on your own as well if you want to. And if you're a little adventurous, there's actually an amusement park called the Prater that's not very far from where the cruise ships dock. And so you can actually go to an amusement park. It was in one of the James Bond movies. Somebody got whacked on the Ferris wheel.
For sure.
Hopefully that won't happen to you. But
I'm for sure going to that amusement park.
Yeah, it's a very neat park. Very, very Austrian. Very Austrian feel to it. So you'll spend those kind of 2 days in Vienna, which really is, I think, a highlight of the cruise and one of the great cities of Europe, certainly.
I always, I'm going to jump in just real quick. I always like when there's an overnight where you can stay out a little bit later if you wanted to. If you're like, oh, we're really having fun, let's just stay out a little bit later. Don't have to be back at the boat at any certain time, right? You're just enjoying yourself.
Enjoy yourself. Awesome. And really, there's plenty of free time to explore Vienna as well. And then you'll head towards Budapest. Most of the cruises will stop for a fairly short call in the city of Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia. Nice little downtown, actually a beautiful castle overlooking the Danube that you can take a nice, kind of a gentle walk up to, or the excursion will take you there. And now you're in Eastern Europe. This is behind the Iron Curtain, so you're starting to get a little different feel of things. But it's usually a fairly brief call in Bratislava before the ship heads to Budapest. Again, for an overnight call in Budapest. And Budapest, I think, is a really underrated city in Europe. It's absolutely beautiful. The architecture reminds me quite a bit of Paris. Really? That kind of turn of the 19th and 20th century kind of Belle Epoque feel to the architecture. Interesting palaces there as well. It was kind of the co-capital of Austria, Hungary, when that was part of the Habsburg Empire. Interesting musical scene there if you're into music.
Really?
And then there's one of the more interesting, I would say, food markets there as well.
Tell me about that.
And everything in Hungary has paprika as a spice. And you would think that paprika is just red.
Really?
But you walk into this spice market and there are so many, it's like a multi-colorful explosion of spices of every color you can imagine. And so it's just interesting to stroll around there and learn a little bit more about Hungarian cuisine and actually try real goulash, which doesn't have anything to do with the goulash that you and I had in high school.
Really?
It's real goulash, and it's very, very good. And so, very, very different feel to Hungary. It spent a lot of time, unfortunately, as a communist country, and there are a lot of scars of that there as well. But it's a beautiful city. The ship's docked right in the center of town. If your joints are started kind of acting up a little bit, they actually have hot baths that you can go to, sort of giant, industrial sized spas.
Wow.
That you can go to with huge swimming pools that are thermal baths. So a neat city. The cruise will end there. You can get off and go home, or people will maybe spend a few more days in Budapest just kind of exploring the city as well. There's just a lot to see and do there.
That's awesome. I can definitely see hitting one of those hot baths for a half day or something
absolutely.
where you're just like, this is it,
End your vacation on a high note.
Yes, right? Just so fun. Yeah. So fun. I love it.
And one of the things we can help folks with is we can help with, customizing those pre and those post cruise extensions. If you want to do something private and customized, or if you just want to do a couple additional activities, we can help you do that as well and make sure that the whole experience is, covers all the bases you want to cover while you're in those towns.
That is awesome. And what's the best way to get a hold of you, your team? What's our best route to reach out?
Visit our website at tedblanktravel.com, and you can schedule an appointment with any of us, and we're happy to talk to you about the Danube, the Rhine, and help you decide if a river cruise is right for you.
I love it. As always, we'll have the links below that you can click on and get to the team very easily. I appreciate you joining me as always. That was part 3 of our series. This is a fun one. It's the River Cruise series. I'm Ken Conan. This is Mr. Ted Blank. We are the Explore More team. Thanks again for joining us today.